Good morning. Today I want to tell a story that kind of affirmed why I don't use a pre-approval as a barrier for my buyers when I'm going to meet with them. A couple of years ago, I was working with a client who had an accent. What accent doesn't matter because it can happen to anybody with any accent, and honestly anybody who just is a minority or a little different, unfortunately. So we looked at a ton of houses. I actually met them off of Zillow, and we started looking at houses, and they were not pre-approved. I didn't ask, I didn't check, I just wanted to meet them. My goal is always to meet you first so that I can be the best resource to you possible. And that's what we did. We met, we looked at a couple of houses. At that point I was like, okay, well, we got to get our pre-approval and know what we're looking at. They had a very solid idea of what they were looking for, so I wasn't really worried about what's your price range. They knew. And most people who know their finances pretty well. If you don't know, that's when I'm like, okay, let's get our pre-approval so that we know what we can do. So we eventually did get pre-approved. It wasn't a huge deal. It didn't take very long. And then we got a little bit more serious about the houses we were looking at. And we looked at a lot of houses. We had a really good adventure together. I got to know their family. They own a restaurant. It was just a wonderful experience working with them and helping them buy a second home for their children to stay in while they were at college. And growing with them, and it was such a wonderful experience. And on closing day, I always felt really close to them, and it was just wonderful when they turned to me and they go, you're the first person not to question us. I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, you never questioned that we could afford to buy a home. You never doubted what we told you. You always believed in us and our ability to buy a home. They are well-dressed. They drive nice cars. I was like, in what world would somebody not trust that you were saying you were who you are? Well, turns out recently they'd been denied multiple times to even try and drive the car that they bought because people were judging them just for having an accent. They're like, oh, no, you can't afford it, so you can't test drive. Are you freaking kidding me? That upset me a lot and definitely motivated me to continue to, I ask people nicely, hey, are you pre-approved, or do you want me to connect you with a lender? Because I'm here to be a resource. It is really important to be pre-approved when you're looking at houses, but when you're looking at that first house, you're not probably going to buy that first house. That's our chance to get to know each other, to meet, to build trust so that you can trust me when I tell you this lender is going to get it done, and this lender is going to care about you and answer your phone calls on the weekend and call on your behalf when we put in an offer that's competing. It makes a difference who your lender is. And I'd much rather you meet me and I get you pre-approved through a local lender than you come to me with Rocket Mortgage and I have to explain to you why in a competitive multiple offer situation, your pre-qualification is not the same thing as a pre-approval. So please, 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 don't let not being pre-approved be a barrier to keep you from getting in a house. If you find a real estate agent who's not willing to pick up the phone and talk to you unless you have a pre-approval, give me a call, okay? Even if I'm not in your market, I can find an agent and a lender who are gonna be your team and work hard for you, because how are you supposed to know? You need someone in the industry to help guide you, especially first-time home buyers, unless you've been through this before and you may have had a bad experience last time. I feel like, in my opinion, your real estate agent should be your first person that helps guide you along the way. We can help you find the people that work the way you do and work best for you. One of my favorite things to do is to get to know my clients and then connect them with the lender that I think has the best chance of working well with them. Not only with the programs they offer, with the interest rates they have, but with the fact that they care. They really care. There are some really good lenders around here, like banks and institutions that do a great job, but they don't care. And it might be that the person cares, But some of them literally go home and don't have access to their files. They can't continue helping you. They don't have your phone number. They don't have your contact information. You don't have their phone number. And in this market, that makes you less competitive. They can't close as quickly. They can't call on your behalf. It's not the same. So please feel free to call me before you're pre-approved.